The anti-Brexit campaign now needs to reach beyond the usual suspects to leave voters in the Labour left. Saturday's march for a people's vote on the Brexit deal exceeded all expectations. Materials promoting it in advance put expected turnout at over 100,000. In the end, around 700,000 marched through central London. The organisers say the numbers make it the second biggest demonstration this century, behind the 1 million estimated to have protested against the Iraq War in 2003. LFF spoke to demonstrators throughout the day. Here's what we took away. 1. This wasn't about a people's vote. I spoke to nearly a dozen protesters on the day. Surprisingly, nearly all of them said they didn't think a people's vote was now possible. Either there wasn't enough time, or it's not going to happen, regardless. Instead, this was a show of force for pro-Europeans. One marcher, Will, told me he was there to change the terms of the Brexit debate. Another, Paolo, said it was because the EU was part of his identity. Most others I spoke to were there to show that public opinion is shifting, and to make Theresa May listen to their concerns amid hard right lobbying. 2. This could be a turning point. Despite that, the sheer scale of the march suggests this is a movement which has galvanized a broad swath of people. It feels the Brexit debate has moved on, from what was previously a conversation about hard versus soft Brexit, to now being about hard Brexit versus stopping Brexit altogether. Labour's tests on what circumstances would mean they'd vote for Theresa May's Brexit deal no longer seem pertinent. The party are likely to vote down her deal regardless. The real question is, what's next, if May's deal is rejected? That puts the arguments of the People's Vote campaign at the foreground. 3. Where's Jeremy Corbyn? There was radio silence from the Labour frontbench regarding Saturday's march. This is tactically wise within the confines of Labour's current position. Of course, Jeremy was not going to back the demonstration. Moving straight to a people's vote is contrary to Labour's policy, and endorsing it risks alienating large sections of the Labour vote. The current fudge is proving a tactical necessity. As Best for Britain chief Eloise Todd told me last week, the job of any opposition is to want to have an election over another referendum. That makes it totally understandable that frontbenchers were tight-lipped on the day of the demo. 4. Where were the anti-Brexit Corbynistas? The pertinent question for the left isn't, where was Corbyn, but why there were no Corbyn supporters speaking on the day. There were plenty of placards from Another Europe is Possible, the left-wing campaign against Brexit. Yet the main stage was fairly devoid of true left-wingers other than Caroline Lucas. While Sadiq Khan is respected among progressives, the London mayor's past anti-Corbyn statements means he will fail to sway much of the party's grassroots. One senior anti-Brexit Corbyn supporter told me it was a grey area as to whether Corbynistas were invited to speak. Whatever the case, if the People's Vote want to sway the leadership, they'll have to sway the unions and party grassroots. That means ramping up the profile of anti-Brexit socialists. While there were plenty of popular celebrities featured at the demo, from Delia Smith to Gary Lineker, the prominence of figures like Chuka Umunna, who recently disgruntled Corbyn supporters by calling Labour institutionally racist, as well as new Labour dons like Alistair Campbell, might not be doing the movement favours. Where were the leavers who have changed their minds? Where were the working-class voices and trade unionists? Please stop putting Alistair Campbell up as a spokesperson for the People's Vote March. I could not support the campaign more, but his voice on this is incongruous and I can't work out why anyone thinks his appearing on the TV is a good idea. Send Femi instead, thanks. Sean Berry at Sinberry, October 21, 2018. 5. Beyond the bubble, I also asked marchers if they knew anyone who had voted Leave who had now changed their minds. The answer was almost universally a long pause, followed by, I know of people who have. The Remain campaign, and its arguments, appear to be locked within a certain 2016 time warp, similar figures repeating similar arguments to a similar group of people. That is not to say the arguments are wrong, they just won't convince current Leavers. The response I got to this, from two marchers I spoke to, was that then 16 and 17-year-olds were now of voting age, and older voters are dying off. This is the same argument that persuaded the US and the world that Donald Trump could not possibly win. It's not demographics, stupid, it's politics. One marcher told me people voted to leave out of frustration and disinformation, so much rubbish. That may be so, but that frustration and alienation with politics has not gone away. Indeed, it may only increase if people feel betrayed, or that an elite are trying to override democracy. Nor have the rules of campaigns been updated to avert the risk of more, not less, disinformation and foreign influence taking place next time. As one marcher told me, if the vote happened again, the result would be the same. Saturday's march was impressive and has galvanized the anti-Brexit cause. Now the focus must be on honing the arguments, and getting the right messengers, to ensure the movement is not just a liberal love-in. It is time to move on from the arguments of 2016. It is not enough to say, voters were lied to, or older voters are dying off. We have to win the argument on how people feel about Europe. That will take a lot more work. Josiah Mortimer is editor of Left Foot Forward. Follow him on Twitter. Like this article. Sign up to Left Foot Forward's weekday email for the latest progressive news and comment, and support campaigning journalism by making a donation today.